Hello and welcome back to part 2 of building a motorcycle turntable into some decking. For the turntable, the construction is pretty much the same as the base in the decking. I start off with cutting a 30-degree rebate in a 2x1, but only going 2/3 of the way through, and I do this on 2 lengths. The saw wouldn't quite go back far enough when I had the depth stop on, so I had to use a block of wood just to make sure I could actually cut all the way through. For the third, I need to go through 1/3 of the way, but on both sides. So here I'm just constructing the 3 pieces and then marking out the center for the pivot to go in. Now I'm just marking out the position for the casters. I actually moved the casters in a little bit so I can have a larger diameter circle, but the casters didn't actually have to be so big in circumference. And I'm just getting the height as the casters and the timber actually came to being a slightly larger size than what I had actually allowed for, so I just cut a small rebate in for the casters to sit in. If I could have actually changed anything, I think I would have gone with casters that don't swivel, as trying to change direction does actually jam up a little bit until you casters have actually spun around. And now time for the axle. I used an M12 bolt and some copper pipe to use as a bushing to reduce wear on the timber. To stop the centre from deflecting, I used a fuss bearing. I just need to measure the distance between the turntable and the decking so I can build a support to actually hold the fuss bearing. Once again, I use copper pipe as a bushing. Not only does it reduce the wear on the actual timber itself, but it also adds a bit of support to help hold the fuss bearing up rather than just relying on the bit of timber. Now I'm just cutting some supports to join the timbers together and give it a bit extra support. I cut 6 of these at 30-degree angles. And then I cut some longer ones for the outer edge. And I'm just testing them to make sure they all fit in. Now I'm just pre-drilling them. I'll just secure them with screws and some polyurethane glue. Unfortunately, by this point it was getting very dark that the camera couldn't actually pick up too much on the light anymore. But I did actually get it completed that night for the turntable. Now it's time to get the decking down and fixed. I start off with the centre board as I wanted that to line up if it was actually spun around 180 degrees. So I'm just finding the centre point as I will be using a router to actually cut the circle itself. And I just need to know where the centre is so I can use it as a pivot. Now it's time to cut the circle for the turntable. I just used a piece of scrap wood, actually measured out the distance between the axle and the outer edge of the router bit. This actually took me the best part of about an hour as the wood was actually slightly damp. I did actually go back over the decking afterwards, fixing more screws in just to actually secure the decking in places where I hadn't before. I'm just having to adjust the blade down that tiny little bit just to get the last little cut. And there we have it, it's all free. Time for the mandatory spin on it. And here you can actually see me testing it. And I just need to figure out a way of locking the decking off for when it's not in use, just to prevent any accidents happening. But for now I've just used a piece of timber wedged in between the boards.